Okay, so we are about to work on developing a better understanding of what exactly decimals are. And we want to be able to show our decimals with our whole numbers. So we call that mixed numbers. So we're going to show our decimals and our whole numbers, or our mixed numbers, using decimal form, number line, expanded form, so a bunch of different ways. Okay, so we are going to kind of work through some of these problems right here. We might not get through all of them, but this is going to be like the basis of helping us to understand what actually we're going to be doing. So again, let's look at these options. So we've got a number line. We know what number lines are. They are putting the numbers in order and showing where do the numbers all go. We're continuing to work on decimal form. A mixed number is when it's the whole number and a decimal form, or in this case, we're going to do fractions because we want to be able to keep both. Expanded form, and then we're going to talk about how much to get to the next one. So before we really dive in, let's go back and review our fractions. Okay. If I want to think about a decimal, I like to think about it like a dollar bill. And this dollar bill right here is my whole. It's my $1. So that's why I put it right here in between my 0 and my 1. If I wanted to, I could take another dollar and I could put it right here in between my 1 and my 2. Because I'm saying, hey, this is one whole and this is one whole. So then we think, okay, well, what are decimals? Well, decimals are parts of the whole. So if I wanted to get part of a dollar, one way I could use it is by using my dimes. Now, dimes is worth 10 cents. So let's kind of think back. We've done this in class before. Let's think about how could I show this little scenario as a fraction. Well, I think, okay, here's my 0, here's my 1, this is my whole, and I've broken it into a number of pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Let's try that again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 pieces. So automatically, what should our denominator? I want you to think, oh, what does my denominator look like? Well, my denominator will be tenths. I have 1 dime, or 1/10, right there. And I want you to work through this on your paper too. So draw a number line, break it into tenths, and let's label the fractions. Now, right here, I have 2 dimes, or 2/10. Here I have 3 dimes, or 3/10, 4 dimes, 4/10, 5 dimes right here. So I have 5/10. Ooh, gotta get a little focused here. 6 dimes is 6/10. 7 is 7/10. 8 dimes. And I'm going to just finish this up. 9 dimes is 9/10. 10 dimes is 10/10, or it's one whole. Same thing. Okay, so then now if I know what these are in fractions, I can also think decimals are fractions. Their decimals are with fractions in the tenths or in the hundredths, but they're fractions. So let's write them an equivalent fraction, only in decimal form. Well, 1/10, think about how I would write a dollar. If something is worth 10 cents, you would see the little decimal point, and you would see 10 cents. So here we're going to use our decimal point, and it's the same thing. It's 1/10. Ooh, this pen is not so good, but that's okay. Now if I have 2 dimes, I have 2/10. Let's try taking down the width. If I have 3 dimes, then that means right here I have 3/10, much better. 4 dimes is 4/10. Don't forget your decimal point, because that shows, hey, this is not 4, this is 4/10. It means it's part of a whole. Okay, I have, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dimes means it's 5/10. Make sure you're doing this on your number line as well. 6/10. 7 dimes is 7/10. 8 dimes is 8/10. Yep. 9 dimes is 9/10. And then with decimals, when we want to show I have 10/10, we just write 1 whole. Now, if I look over here, and let's move my drawing tool. If I look over here, I could do the same thing, only I'm not between 0 and 1. I'm between 1 whole and 2 wholes. So I could say, if I brought in another dime, so let's bring it in. Let's bring in our other dime, make it smaller so it fits. This could be 1 and 1/10, because I have my 1 whole. This is saying, hey, I already have $1, and I have my 10th, my 1/10, and then I could just continue working through. Okay, so with that in mind, let's go back to some of our problems. Okay, if I was looking here, let's look at this first problem. Now, I don't know exactly what that decimal is, but it gave me a mixed number where it's saying, oh, 3 and 9/10. Okay, so 3 is my whole. How many wholes do I have? I have 3. Or how many dollars do I have? I have 3. And then 9/10, it's kind of like saying, okay, well, how many dimes do I have? I have 9. So 9 cents or 90 cents or 9/10. So let's write that out on our number line. Okay, if I'm 3 and 9/10, my number line isn't starting at 0 and 1. Where is it starting? I want you on your paper to draw a number line really quickly. Break it into tenths, because when we're dealing with fractions and tenths, your number line will, your whole will always be broken into tenths. And then label, what are my endpoints? Well, I have 3 wholes already. And then I know my next whole number would be 4. And I'm not quite at my next whole number because I need 10 dimes to get to $1. I have 9. So then let's just label where it would be. 3 and 9/10 would just be right here. And I know that because I could say 1/10, 2/10, 3/10, 4/10, 5/10, 6/10, 7/10, 8/10, 9/10. So it's right there. Now remember, I'm not saying 9/10s, I'm saying 9/10ths. And I'll even write that out for you. Tenths. Okay. Well, our next question is saying, well, what does that look like as a decimal? Let's go back to our number line. I've got 9/10. And what does it look like? Oh, it's our decimal point and then a 9, 9/10. So that makes it really easy, because as a decimal form, I would say it's 3. I still have 3 wholes, and then 9/10, and that's my decimal. Okay, so if I wanted to look at expanded form, I want you to think about this one a little bit differently, because we know what expanded form looks like. If I wanted to do 721, it would be 700 plus 20 plus 1. Okay, there's kind of a different way to look at expanded form, and that's by thinking about our number chips. I'm actually going to erase this up. Okay. Let's go back to let me pull up the right number cubes. Oh, maybe they don't have it here. That's okay. Ugh. Oh well, that's okay. We'll come over here anyway. Okay. So if I wanted to show 3, gotta use my writing tool, 3 and 9/10, well, I would need to say, okay, if I want to think about my number chips, I'm gonna say I would have 3 is in a ones place. Well, how many ones chips would I need in order to get to 3? I would need it 3 times. Okay, and if I wanted to write that kind of succinctly, I could say 1 plus 1 plus 1, but that gets confusing, and it's easier just to do, okay, take a ones chip and have it 3 times. Well, now we can even have number chips that show decimals. So if I wanted to, I could say, well, what place value is this? This is the 10ths place value. So my number chip would look like, there's my decimal point, 10ths. Okay, well, how many, if 1 shows 1/10 and I have 9/10, how many would I need? Well, that one's pretty easy. I would need 9 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and let's go up here, 6, 7, 8, 9. And I'll even fill in 1/10, 1/10, 1/10, 1/10, 1/10, 1/10, 1/10, and 1/10. Wait, so if I took my 1/10 and I said, how many times do I need a 1/10 chip? Well, I need it 9 times. So I could do it 9 times. Or because this is in a fraction, I could also write it, and I shouldn't have drawn that line underneath, but I could also say, okay, well, 1/10, because 1/10 and 1/10, it's the same thing. How many times do I need a 1/10? I need it 9 times. And that right there is my expanded form. Okay, so let's go back. And I could write it, oh, I need a pencil again. Okay, we're good. I could write it, now you can do it in a fraction or a decimal, whichever one works for you. I showed you both. This is decimal, this is fraction. Okay, so it was 1 times 3 to get my 3 wholes, plus, let's do, I'll keep it with my fraction, 1/10 times 9. And that got me 3 and 9/10. And then the last question is, how much do you need to get to 1? Now this, I gave you the answer. It's you need 1/10. You need to go one more step to get to the next one. And you can even see it right here. In order to get 10 of these, and 10 gives you 1 whole, you would just need to put in 1/10. Okay, let's look at another one. Okay, so let me erase this. And there we go. Okay, so let's look right here. Okay, we don't know any of these, but we do have the number line. So we can find the decimal or the fraction or the mixed number based on this number line. When I'm looking, I'm seeing, okay, it's not between 0 and 1, it's between 17 and 18. So that means I already have 17, but I don't quite have 18. So my whole, I have 17, but now what's my decimal? Well, these are broken into tenths. So I have 1/10, 2/10, 3/10, 4/10, 5/10. 5/10. And I know that because, again, 5/10, 5/10. These are the same thing, only written in different forms. Okay. Now, if I'm going to go forward, I want to show this is my decimal form, and this is my mixed number using fractions. So I could do the same thing, 17 wholes and 5/10, only I'm going to use it as a fraction, 5/10. Okay, so now when we write it in expanded form, that one's a little bit more tricky. Because if I look at 17 and 5/10, or 17 and 5/10, either one, I think about the number chips that I would need to use, and I look at my place values. Okay, so I see a place value. Let's draw our lines. Here's my tens, my ones, and my tenths. That one gets a little confusing. It's a little tricky, but you can do it. Okay, so if I was going to draw a place value, how many tens do I have? I just have 1/10. So what would my fraction be? Or my multiplication sentence? It would be, take my tens place. I need it 1 time. We're good. Now over here, I have 7 ones. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And remember, these are my ones. This is 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. So if I was going to do my multiplication sentence, I would say, okay, take my ones. How many times do I need a ones chip? I need it 7 times. And now my 5/10. Let's do 5/10 in green. Okay. There's a 1/10. How many times do I need 1/10? Well, I need it 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and so I'm going to say take my 1/10. How many times do I need a 1/10 chip? I need it 5 times. And that, so 10 times 1 plus 1 times 7 plus 1/10 times 5 gives me 17 and 5/10. So I'm not going to rewrite that because it's a small little box, but it's right there. Okay. And then the last question is, how much more do I need to get to my next one? Well, I can look at it a bunch of different ways. I can look at the number line and count how many more until I get to 18. I can say, okay, well, what plus 5/10 equals 1? I can think about my fractions. So I have 5/10 plus what would get me 1, or 10/10. Well, and that one's pretty easy. 5/10. I want to put this in decimal form, so 5/10. Okay, now I want you to pause the video and I want you to do the next problem all by yourself. And then once you feel like you have gotten your best answer, then I will show you the answer. So pause the video and do the next problem all by yourself. All right, let me show you my answers. So I don't have any information except what is written in expanded form. So I'm going to look at that first. Well, 7 times 10 is 70. Ooh, I don't want green. Is 70. 4 times 1 is 4. And then 7 times 1/10 is 7/10. Or if I wanted to put that together, it would be 74 and 7/10, or 74 and 7/10. Either way. Well, now that makes it really easy for me to do my number line. Here is 74. My next one up would be 75. And I'm at 7/10, so I'm going to count 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is where it would be. Did you get that right? My decimal form, I've already written that. 74 and 7/10. My mixed number, 74 and 7/10. And I just need 3/10 more to get to the next one. You did great. Don't forget to do your exit ticket, and goodbye.